Hey everybody, Model Train Outsider with what I hope will be a quickie fix. Many of us that use OBS straight to YouTube, where you have OBS installed, you set up your scene and displays in OBS, and then broadcast, whether you open up YouTube Studio to use OBS or whether you have OBS linked to your YouTube account so it just automatically starts streaming. In the last month, at least 5 of my friends and myself have been noticing a problem when we do live streams. You'll notice that the video will temporarily freeze for half a second, maybe 2 seconds, and then all of a sudden goes back and looks fine. And then 30 seconds later, 40 seconds later, 10 seconds later, whatever, it freezes, unfreezes, and goes. And people are like, oh, maybe your internet's bad. But all of us were doing fine with our live streams until about a month ago. Well, what happened a month ago? Well, OBS did a major system upgrade that they released. YouTube did a system upgrade they released. Now, whose fault this is, I don't know. I don't even know if I have the solution, but I know I just solved my problem. That problem where the screen freezes is not necessarily. It can also be caused by your CPU being overloaded, but it's your bit rate and your dropped frames based on the settings in OBS. All right, so I'm going to turn this camera around and show you what I'm talking about. All right, so there's my standard OBS screen ready for a broadcast. But before I do that, let's pretend I just installed OBS, and if people want to know how to set up screens, I can do a video on that. Let me know later. But what I'm going to do is go down to settings. Ignore everything else. Just go down to settings. And this screen pops up. Ignore that. We care about 3 things. Now, most people say, I want to stream, so they'll immediately go to the stream. But I'm going to save that till last. But here's the thing. The first thing that got changed for many of us somehow was up here. It says output mode. Yours should say advanced. Mine suddenly was saying simple. I had preset this to advanced a long time ago. See how it says simple? You want it on advanced. All right, once it goes to advanced, you come down to the next line, which says encoder. Yours should probably say X264 or something with 264 on it. For example, most people, when they install OBS, the only one they'll have is X264. Again, you won't see this option unless you go to output mode and make it advanced. If you're going to stream with cameras, you want this on advanced, and then you want the encoder to say X264. I'm not going to click that for me because my new graphics card has basically the equivalent of that, but slightly better. It's the NVIDIA NVE NCH.264. Okay, don't worry about this rescale output stuff or any of that. Now, the next thing is bitrate. If you're going to do live streaming with moving trains and video, you want your bitrate at least 3,000 to 5,000. I picked 4,000 right in the middle. This has been my setting forever. And when I opened up my OBS the other day, it was at 2,500. It got set back down. Don't worry about anything else. I know there's OBS people saying, oh, well, you got to look at this. You got to look at that. We know there's other stuff you look at, but for now, just to solve this basic new problem, these are the things you should be looking at. All right, then go to video. This is where you decide. Your base is, okay, what are you recording in? You can go up to 4K with that. What output do you want? That's where people say, go down to 720. And if you're having trouble with your CPU running a high percentage, then yes, go to 720. I've been broadcasting in 1080p for 2 years. And it's only when I added the 9th and 10th cameras that I started having problems with my CPU going way too high, where I was over 70% a lot. That's why I went down to 8 cameras and shrank some of them just to keep the CPU. But that's also why I bought the brand new computer here with a new video card that can handle 10 pictures all in widescreen etc. And as you look, you can see the CPU is running at, let's say an average of 13.2%. Okay? But here is the problem, even with all those other problems. This is the one I'm kicking myself in the butt that I forgot to change when I did my test live stream with the new computer the other day. So when we go to stream, you can see YouTube service. That's what I'm broadcasting to. Server is the primary YouTube ingest server. I've connected my account, so now instead of having to do a stream key, it just automatically goes straight into this broadcast, which is fine. Here is the issue. This had been unchecked. This box should check this. If this box is white, there's your problem. Because I forgot to recheck this box when I did my live stream the other day, and when I did a couple of test streams private today, and about 4 that accidentally weren't private today, I forgot to check this. This box should be checked. Because what this says is ignore the streaming service setting recommendations. In other words, if you don't check this box, YouTube says, we think you should be at these settings. And they're low. So even if you set your bitrate to 4,000, if you don't have this box checked, YouTube is going to run it at the 2,000 to 2,250 they recommend. That's where the problem for me came in. I forgot to check this. By checking this, it now reads my settings, not YouTube's recommendations. I'm telling this to ignore it. Now, you'll get a warning that says ignoring their recommendations might be bad, but look, YouTube allows up to 51,000 kbps. So 4,000, up from 2,500 to 4,000 is not a big deal. So here's what I'm going to do real quick. I'm going to start a test live stream. So I'm going to click out of this. And I have done 4 test live streams with this. I've done 4 test live streams with this now, and it's worked every time since I clicked that. If I click it off, I was dropping, like my test live stream, I was dropping 50% frame rate. It was awful. I was watching 50%. And I will show this to everybody in a minute here. But so let's go here. I do it this way. Somebody might say stream, get stream key, blah, blah, blah. But mine just automatically does this. Manage broadcast. So here it is. This is test stream 12. And for those of you who caught a couple of my videos, I forgot in a few cases to change this to private. So now it's private, so nobody will see this but me. And I'm testing it. So you can do this too. Test this. And then manage broadcast, or create this broadcast and start streaming. And Shaky Hand McGee is going up. But here's the numbers I want you to see. All right. I am now live, although you cannot come into this live feed because it's private. My CPU is now running at, 14.2%. Oh my goodness. I'm running at 60 frames per second. That green box is all you need to see. When I was live streaming on Tuesday, even with my new computer with that 4,000 kbps setting, I was still dropping 40 to 50% frames. This box is going yellow and red, yellow and red, yellow and red, nonstop. And if you look over here, it tells you dropped frames, 0. By now, on my previous test where I forgot to click that box, I was already dropping 40% frame rates within 5 seconds of starting the broadcast. By clicking that box and having my settings where I did it, voila, my issue was that this box was going red and I was dropping frames. I am dropping no frames. If I were doing this live stream, you'd be seeing a perfect stream right now because the audio is fine, the video this is what you watch. Because Chris, you were talking about seeing the red box and seeing warnings, because what happens is on OBS over here, you'll be seeing this box going red and yellow, and over here you'll get a little line warning across the bottom that says encoding error, crash, blah, 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 not enough, etc., to YouTube. I was getting that warning nonstop, even though when I went to the YouTube studio, it was saying excellent connection. So even though YouTube was saying excellent connection, the problem was the connection was great, but the video encoding was messed up. So you had a great connection to YouTube, it just couldn't handle the amount of video you were sending. So again, back to me. So go into settings, and the first thing you want to do is click that ignore, check that box, and then go in and adjust your settings. Make sure it's advanced, make sure you're on X264, and then put your, depending on how many cameras you're running, and if you're broadcasting in 720 or 1080, start at about 3000 and see if your frame rate issue changes. Do some test bits like I showed you. Set up a test stream or a private stream and just double check all those settings. Make sure it's advanced on the output. Make sure it's advanced on the output. Make sure its encoder is the X264, or if you happen to have the option to do the NVIDIA NVENC H264, do that one. But just make sure it's one of the ones that says 264 on it. And then set your bit rate, 2750, 3000, 3250, 3500, 4000. I was running 10 cameras at 4000 KBS and didn't drop a frame with this test video. That's all I needed to know. It was that stupid button. Make sure you've checked that box. It's blue with a white check that says ignore that. Some of you are going to go, duh, first thing I did. I did that on all my computers, and why it suddenly wasn't checked and I didn't even look at it. That was the problem. I didn't even look at it. I should have looked at it. Once I looked at it and then clicked it, my frame rate droppage disappeared, and my streaming right now would be looking great as long as your internet was good. All right, so this was about 13 minutes. I wanted to keep it under 10, but I've been babbling. It's also my 10th take. So I'm going to upload this and tell you all, take care. Hope this helps you. Mikhail, Andreas, Lucas, Chris at Hales Heritage Railway, Thomas, you guys that all, I watch your YouTube channels and you've all been having this problem. Check those things along with your internet and CPU usage when you go with OBS, because those can also be factors. But for me, I knew it wasn't internet and I knew it wasn't CPU. It had to be something else, and it had to be between OBS and YouTube. And it was. YouTube and OBS did system changes and some things got reset. So go check those settings, and most of all, check that stupid box. All right? So everybody, take care. Hope that helped some of you.